The Enlightenment was one of the great intellectual periods in the West. I think it's when you get after the birth of modern science, you get a lot of different thinkers throughout Europe thinking about, well, what makes science so powerful? Why is our knowledge here advancing in such great leaps? And if you think of a Galileo and then a Newton, and Newton I think of as he's the hero of the Enlightenment. Almost every thinker writing during the Enlightenment admires Newton, and they're trying to understand what made this achievement possible, that we've really made a leap in our understanding of motion, of the heavens, of the cosmos, of the solar system. So many things with his discoveries about the laws of motion, of gravity, of light, made things that before were shrouded in mystery as now they're clear. So this is the Enlightenment, is like light pouring into darkness. And it's above all, Newton is seen as he's brought light into what previously was dark. And what the Enlightenment is about is trying to think, can we use his method or the method of modern science in all areas of life to understand things and to move forward? And the Enlightenment is trying to do that. So you get advances in history, we were talking a little bit about, you get advances in political theory, you get the full formation of the concept of individual rights and a deep thinking about how to use that principle to subordinate society to the, as Ayn Rand would put it, to moral law, but to a moral perspective that is embodied by the notion of, I mean, as it would be put at the time, man's rights, but you can put it as individual rights. And you get the birth of psychology, you get deep thinking in philosophy about, okay, so what is reason? How does it work? What are the scientists doing when they're discovering new laws, formulating new theories? You get much more of a focus, at least in the early Enlightenment, on the importance of induction, that science works inductively. It doesn't start from a bunch of axioms that are given to it, and ultimately that meant handed down by God. I mean, that was the model before. You've got these basic truths, axioms that are handed down, and then you kind of deduce from those things. But the Enlightenment was about induction, and the modern science was about induction. You start with observations, and you slowly generalize and build theories upon the observations. So it was a very different model of what knowledge is and what the essence of reason is. And this is what they're putting forth in the Enlightenment period. But it fails, and it fails for deep philosophical reasons. So early in the Enlightenment, there's a tremendous confidence so this is as one of the essential issues, tremendous confidence in the power of reason. Look at what the reasoning mind is capable of doing. And again, Newton's achievements would be taken as, this is the highest example of what it means when you really follow reason and use it properly. This is what you can achieve. But by the end of the Enlightenment, which is really towards the end of the 18th century, so as America is being born, the Enlightenment is ending. And I think of America as the last great product of the Enlightenment. It comes from Enlightenment thinking, but that thinking is starting to be questioned and starting to disappear. And there becomes more and more skepticism about the power of reason to know the world, to know reality, to reach truths. I think of one of the last Enlightenment figures. He's still part of the Enlightenment, but getting this kind of skeptical attitude is David Hume. He's a philosopher writing in the 18th century, and it's his philosophical works are, no, reason can't even get out. You can't even get outside of your own mind. You don't even have any evidence that there's a world external to you. Induction is problematic. There's no reason to think why induction works. So this whole picture of modern science as it's capable of inducing from the world general truths and natural laws, as it would be put, that comes into question with Hume, that no, we don't have this power to reach out beyond us, to look at the world, to observe and to induce. And in the 19th century, then you get the Kantian revolution, which he in effect agrees with Hume and then spins out or develops a whole new philosophical system that is premised on the idea that, yes, the human mind is not able to know a world independent from it. And we just have to accept that fact and rethink all our notions and our principles based on this fundamental truth that we're unable to know the world as it really is in kind of Kantian terms. And that's the end of the Enlightenment philosophically. And then what you see is it starting to end culturally and politically in the 19th century. I think culturally, the 19th century is still a product of the Enlightenment. And you have tremendous developments. You have tremendous developments in technology, tremendous developments culturally. The abolition of slavery, for instance, in the US, that women's rights are taken much more seriously and they're seen as independent human beings, not just the property of their husbands and so on. So there's tremendous cultural progress, but philosophically, it's becoming more and more skeptical, irrational, that reason can't guide us. So the whole project of the Enlightenment is reason can guide us, and we should use reason everywhere. The 19th century philosophy is reason can't guide us, something else has to. And it's emotion dressed up in different ways. So will, for instance, the power of the will, and people associate this with the rise of the Nazis. You see this in Nietzsche, but you see it in many other things. This power of will is sort of your emotional side, not your rational side. That is what is on the ascendancy in the 19th century. And then if what freedom is about is giving freedom to rational people to live their lives, then the more you think, no, people aren't rational, this is not how they function, they can't think from themselves, they can't reason for themselves, they need to be told what to do. And vice versa, if you're thinking of yourself, yeah, I can't know the world, I can't be scientific, so how am I supposed to function? I need some authorities to tell me what to do. So you get a massive rise in politically of various forms of authoritarianism, or as Ayn Rand often puts it, statism. The power has to be vested not in the individual who can't guide his own life by rational means. The power has to be in the state, in the authorities who are going to tell you what to do. And you see then, so it becomes, the crusading ideals become socialism, communism, fascism, all a super powerful state that's going to tell people what to do. And then that's sort of theoretically in the 19th century. And in the 20th century, you see this in actual fact with the rise of Nazism, fascism, socialism, communism, all heavily, heavily authoritarian and tremendously destructive to human happiness and human life.